Hello and welcome to the DeakHeads podcast. My name is Rob Delves, and as always, and for the final time in 2020, I'm joined by Sean Jessamine and Damon Bednarski. Firstly, out to Pakenham. G'day, Sean.
Hello, Rob. How are you, mate?
Yes, good, mate. Good. How's the Christmas spirit in Pakenham, mate? Is it at fever pitch yet, or what?
Oh, yeah, there's a few. You drive around and you see some Christmas decorations on the trees and stuff. So Pakenham's all getting festive. But other than that, same old.
Oh, beautiful, mate. I'm glad to hear it. And then we've got Damo, of course. The Maui Marvel is back in his hometown. How was the street parade welcoming you back, Damon?
Oh, they're all out, mate. They're all welcoming me back. Get back here, mate. Come in. Join us.
Was there a banner or what?
Yep. Welcome back to Maui Damo. As you drive past the Maccas, they're all welcoming me back, mate.
The Maccas. So you've got your own grandstand at the racecourse, don't you?
Oh, just about. BYO grandstand at Maui.
Yeah, yeah, I bet it is on the heavy night track. So what's the Christmas plans look like for you, Damo?
Pretty quiet, mate. Just small lunch on Christmas Day for me.
Very good. And how long are you planning to stay in Maui for?
Good question. Maybe just a couple of days.
Yeah. Just see off Christmas, mate, then get back for a big NYE extravaganza.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Just see off the new ball and back to Melbourne when the ball gets a bit softer.
Absolutely. Shawnee, mate, what are your plans for Christmas, mate?
Yeah, just spend Christmas Day with the family, and then Molly and I will be going away for a bit, so that'll be good. How about you, Rob?
Very good. Oh, mate, just with the family, of course. Got it's a few little rugrats running around, the care of my sisters, so they're always energetic this time of year. So it's good that having a couple of nieces and nephews sort of brings back the magic of Christmas a little bit. So no, that should be good.
Have you taped up half the tennis ball yet, so you can? I saw. Was it last year or the year before?
Last year.
Your brother-in-law Zachy gave you pretty good belting.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago now, and so I had 12 months of preparation where I could sort of tape a few tennis balls together and see which one I could get some movement out of, and we had a bit more success last year, which was good. So hopefully we can carry that into this year. But yeah, it's a gravel driveway, so there's a few rocks in there as well. So you hope they sort of just ping off there and go anywhere.
Uncle Rob bowling bounces at the 6-year-olds, eh?
Yeah, just the ego boost. Yeah, don't bowl there, mate. Don't bowl there. So that should be good. Hopefully. So yeah, but what about Sean? Are you going away? Whereabouts are you going?
Yeah, so we'll head up near Bright. So Molly's family heads up there every year, so we'll go there for a bit, and then we're both going to head down Great Ocean Roadway. So for a few days, so that'll be good. And then back into.
So if you see Sean on the road, make sure you heckle him out there to all the TRIAX followers. He'll love to stop and have a chat and talk all things about himself and then TRIAX as well. So make sure if you run into Sean, you give him a hello.
That's good, Rob. Well done.
Yeah. All right. So what do we, boys? We're going to do a quick little intro here before we get stuck in our podcast. But in terms of 2021, what are we hoping that Santa will bring us? So this will probably be a nice little interlude into our New Year's resolution. So firstly, what do we hope Santa will bring us? And that might tie into a New Year's resolution. So Shawnee, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I don't know. A bit of normalcy, I suppose. 2020 has been a bit of a weird year, so it'll be good to have a footy season back down at the Dolphins. Hopefully get stuck in there. And then I'll be going back to uni next year, actually, to study physio. So that'll be some tough work, I think, but hopefully it'll be pretty good and get some good results and that sort of thing, and I'll enjoy it. So just hoping for some smooth sailing, I suppose you could say.
Beautiful. Whereabouts is the uni degree happening, mate?
That'll be University of Melbourne. So be trekking into the city a few days a week and knocking that over. So should be good.
So what address did you put on your application? Because you clearly didn't use Pakenham then, if you're applying to the University of Melbourne.
Yeah, I'm not sure there'd be too many Pakenham graduates over the years, but hopefully I'll be one of them.
Yeah, I reckon your Falcon might be a bit suspect going into the leafy surrounds of Parkville.
Yeah, a bit out of place.
Yeah, I reckon you might get a few parking tickets, mate. I reckon.
Yeah, mate. We'll see.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Good luck for that, mate. That should be a nice endeavour. And Damo, in terms of your 2021, mate, what are we hoping it looks like?
Hopefully, things with TRIAX continue to broaden, and we expand into different areas, and working with a few more clubs and athletes. Hopefully, that would be pretty good for the business and myself personally. So yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. For me personally, I hope that we can develop TRIAX to a greater extent in 2021. Hope we can really have a nice springboard of a year, and then hopefully the Western Bulldogs will rise again up the top of the AFL ladder. Hopefully Miami Heat will go one step better than last year. And hopefully I will be able to run a half marathon at some stage next year. It's one of my goals. So yeah, hopefully I can get my body into that shape and improve the mobility in order to do so. But yeah, I know there's a few comments that are waiting to be said on this front. So if you've got them, boys, then please, let rip.
No, just for those listening, for our content day, where we went and filmed a few things. Some of you might have seen on Instagram. Rob put a few things up where we went and filmed some things, and a few of Rob's demos weren't exactly A grade. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Someone walked past and actually asked if this bloke had got out of the nursing home and needed help getting back. He's moving like a 50 or a 60-year-old there with some of those exercises.
Yeah, not great. I'll be the first to put my hand up about that, but it's a canvas on which I will build upon. So watch this space in 2021. Watch Strava too. I'll be burning up Strava. Don't worry about that. But yeah, let's get off this topic pretty quick because it makes me uncomfortable. Firstly, before we get stuck in the podcast, thank you to everyone out there. Actually, everyone who's supported us in whatever way. So thank you if you bought merch, if you've subscribed, liked, commented, given feedback, any of that sort of stuff. We really appreciate everything that's come our way from everybody out there. So we thank you, and we thank you for the reception you've given us. It's made it a lot easier and makes us feel really good and supported. So thank you for that. And hopefully you can continue to support TRIAX into 2021, where hopefully bigger things lay ahead. But now for this installment of the podcast, we want to talk about the Christmas break from an athletic standpoint, and what we can do over the Christmas break in order to manage our progress or even improve our training workload around that. So hopefully this podcast will provide you a bit of value whilst you're stuffing your face on Christmas Day, boys. So before we get really stuck into training over the Christmas break, we want to talk about maybe recapping 2020 as a year, particularly from an athletic development standpoint, I guess, in terms of programming, considering the various lockdowns and the situations that's been thrown at us. I think it might be an interesting topic if we can sort of reflect on that, boys. So maybe if we want to go through a couple of points of discussion surrounding exercise during this year, and maybe the observations you guys made throughout 2020. So, Shawnee, do you want to kick us off with that one?
Yeah, I reckon so we saw, I guess, gyms were pretty much closed for, about 8 months. We had a little couple of weeks here in Melbourne where they were open in the middle of the year, but closed again pretty quickly after that. So I think we saw a lot of people sort of use the bare necessities of when it comes to training and when you're limited with equipment and that sort of thing. So I think it's sort of saw a few people get creative with it and mix up a few things. And a lot of people probably tried a few things that they wouldn't normally. I think a lot of people took up running, which was probably the easiest thing to do because you don't need any equipment. Most people can do it. You just walk out the front door for a lot of people and you get started. So I suppose there's been a little bit of shift in that, and I think we've seen that gyms aren't exactly they're not 100% a necessity. You don't have to have a gym membership. You can still make it work. Obviously, we love gyms, and it makes our job a hell of a lot easier when we do have access to one. But I think we've seen that we can, if we need to, we can go without it. We can still make it work.
Yeah, beautiful. Damo, any observations or discussion that you noticed throughout 2020?
Yeah, I think it just made everyone realize that the online platforms that are available for coaching and communication and everything like that are very easy to use, and it works. So the face-to-face coaching side of things, I guess, was just showing that you don't necessarily have to be there at the same location to be able to provide that sort of service. I still think the face-to-face is the best option, but obviously with Zoom and things like that, it has made it workable that you can still provide coaching and training online. So that's something that I think will continue into the future, especially with coaches potentially being in different locations and specialize in a particular things. Athletes might actually now seek them out. So it might be someone that, works in the US or the UK or something like that, and then they're going to start providing coaching to athletes in Australia potentially. So I think it's shown that definitely can be done. But yeah, certainly what Sean's added, that the home gym, I think there'll be many people that come out of this lockdown period and 2020 with a really good home gym setup. And they're probably not going to be paying for a membership at a gym anytime soon because they've got those facilities. So yeah, it certainly did see the rise of online coaching and training and the home gym 2020.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting point about what we actually need for exercise as opposed to what we think we need. I think Sean raised that as an interesting point about how you think that you need everything in terms of the gym equipment, but as the events of 2020 and coronavirus have showed, that it's not necessarily the case, and we can become very inventive when we have to. So it is an interesting observation that what we think we need versus what we actually have and what we actually do need is quite different. So that'll be interesting from that front. Do we feel that anything that's probably become paramount in 2020 will translate into 2021? So Damo, online coaching, you spoke about that. Do we feel like that's going to become bigger in 2021, or is the trend going to go back to that face-to-face that we are used to?
I think it might stay around as an option, certainly with the uncertainty around COVID still moving into 2021 and a vaccine not being released in Australia. I think that's something that will definitely stay available. But I think most facilities and coaches would be looking to transition back into face-to-face coaching if it's possible. Likewise with teaching at universities and schools and stuff like that, their preference would be to do it face-to-face, but it's obviously it's not going to go away, the online coaching, I don't think.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that may hopefully blend into 2021 is maybe the home-based routines and hopefully an improved adherence to your own programming, maybe.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of people, as sort of Damo said, they've invested in some sort of gym equipment because the 8 months that gyms were closed was a long time. So I think most people have at least got something. It's probably not ideal and it's not everything that you would normally need, but you can still make it work. And I think that for a lot of people that are time poor, especially getting back into work, particularly people with families or kids, that sort of thing, we might see that you've got that equipment at home. Instead of having to drive to the gym and spend some time there, you might quickly get a little 20-30 minute workout in because you've got the equipment right in the next room. And that's something that you may not have had access to before, and you thought, shit, I've got to go to the gym, I've got to get up all this energy, I've got to make sure someone's cooked dinner and done all this stuff and it sort of takes the hassle out of it a little bit, I suppose. Again, it's probably not ideal. You're probably not going to get the best results if you're doing all your workouts at home compared to in a gym, but at least it's another option instead of doing nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Great points there from the boys. Is it so in terms of 2021 and for your own personal development, boys, is there anything you guys are going to focus on going into 2021?
Yeah, just continuing like to develop as a coach. So different roles and stuff like that. I'm probably due to go do the ASCA level 2. So if they're offering it in Melbourne, I'll be looking to do that. But yeah, nothing too much outside of that other than the normal professional development and coaching.
Very good. And for people that don't know, ASCA is the Australian Strength and Conditioning Association. So they do like accreditation courses for coaches in the field and in the industry. Shawnee?
I suppose going to do physio, that'll get sort of a little bit of a different tool in the toolbox. So that'll be a different perspective on a few things. I think anatomy's never been one of my strong suits at uni, so I'm going to have to hit the books pretty hard with that. But I think it'll be good, even just from a strength and conditioning perspective with all the other roles I do at Frankston and at Scopus and that sort of thing. You always got kids that, not that I'll be able to start diagnosing people with injuries straight away, but having that little bit more of an understanding of what's happening in the body, I think will help me as a coach just going forward. So I think that'll be good.
It's good for exercise prescription too, isn't it, Sean? You understand it a little bit better, so you can probably prescribe a more appropriate exercise, having that better understanding.
Absolutely. How about you, Rob? What are you looking to do?
Probably, I reckon I'd agree with Damo, maybe looking at ESSA for me would be, so Exercise Sport Science Association, or whatever it is, of Australia, doing one of their accreditation, their further up accreditation, which would be good in the new year. And then maybe just some more personal development stuff, maybe try to get a bit more better at some analytics. So some computer programming, sort of like a Moneyball sort of setup for people that, a general term, that would be interesting. I'm not smart enough for that, but we'll see how we go. All right, so now we've spoken about 2021. Let's speak about the Christmas period of 2020, shall we? So, in particular, training over the Christmas break. So this is an important part of the macro cycle, I guess you could call it, or the yearly plan of a lot of athletes, particularly team sport athletes. So I'll leave it up to you boys to discuss probably the important principles, I guess, initially of training over the Christmas break. So Damo or Sean, maybe throw it to Damo first if you want to kick off with some of the principles we need when we're thinking about training over this break.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that if you've had a training block, so I know a lot of sub-elite teams and athletes have gone back for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks of training, which is probably not ideal in terms of preparation going into that, but it means you've got some training under the belt. So what you'd be looking to do over this Christmas period is either using it one of the weeks over the Christmas period as a little bit of a deload week. So around that Christmas period, that would be an ideal time to actually go, all right, we'll just drop down the volume of training, but keep the intensity. So you could do that around the Christmas period so you can still enjoy Christmas, Boxing Day, that sort of stuff. And then the weeks after that, what you'd be looking to do is maintaining that training volume and intensity that you'd started to develop. Otherwise, that 2 to 3 weeks that you've conducted before Christmas is essentially irrelevant, because if you have done that and then you take 2-3 weeks off for Christmas and do 1 or 2 sessions a week sporadically and then decide to come back to training after that, you're pretty much going to be either back where you started, or you may have even gone further backwards. So what you want to do is just be consistent with your training over this period. So if you have been training 2 to 3 times a week, as I said, with that Christmas week and those busy days where you normally got things on and you're drinking and eating and all those sorts of things, is just plan your rest days to be those days and then block your training in and around that. But I think the most important thing is that you don't just completely throw it out the window. You need to be looking at planning out your training within that period to give yourself the best opportunity to come back either at the same fitness level or slightly above what you were before the Christmas break.
Yeah, like I said to our boys at Frankston the other night, like over this period, you probably, like we set out a plan for them, and I sort of said, like, you're not going to be able to, like, I know that you're not going to do every session exactly as it's written out, because there'll be boys they'll be going away, they'll be doing other things, they'll be spending time with family. It's a busy time for a lot of people. But I just said, like, it's not super rigid in that maybe you have to change the day that your running's on, or instead of, you might not be able to make it into the gym, you could do a workout at home, or you could do more conditioning stuff. It's more about not just throwing everything out the window if you can't get what's planned in. Make sure you're doing something. So as we we're talking about before, a lot of people are going to have some sort of equipment at home now. So maybe you can't get into the gym, or you've spent a lot of time, or you've got a busy day coming up, so you try and jam it in the morning or something like that at home. And if you're going away, maybe you take a kettlebell or two with you, you take maybe some resistance bands, depending on what equipment you have. And instead, you might not be able to do your normal gym session, but you could get like a circuit type thing in where you're doing sort of similar exercises, similar movements, but you're just not doing it with the same weights or anything like that you would at the gym. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to try and train as much as you were, because everyone's going to be busy. But at the same time, like, don't do nothing either. Like, there are definitely ways around it. Like, I know most people are going to be busy, but that doesn't mean you don't have to do nothing. So make it work for you. And especially when you get back into it in maybe mid-Jan, whenever you start back, your body will thank you for it as well, because you've still been doing something.
I think that's important. Something is better than nothing. So during this period, a lot of people go away. So if you're going to the beach or you go camping or something like that, like if you go camping and you've cut firewood or something like that, you know, you can lift that a few times and do some exercises with firewood. Or if you're at the beach, you know, mix it up and do some running on the sand or some hill runs at the beach or something like that. You can always just mix it up. So if you're doing something, it's always better than nothing. But if you go with the motto of sitting at home and drinking 6 beers a day and watching the test matches and stuff over Christmas, that's probably not ideal. So if you can add something in there and sort of keep some normality where possible, that's probably going to help you come 2021.
Very good. So from those points, so summarising what the boys have said then, so basically three key points really is establish what your goal is for the period, it sounds like. So if you've already trained and you've had like an established base of training, then you're going to work to maintain that. Hopefully just looking to maintain that. And if you haven't had that established base, and you're probably looking to keep it at a decent level throughout. And then you need to take into consideration probably your time constraints, so where you're going. If you're going on holidays, you need to take extra equipment. If you're going to a different location, what else do you need to bring? And then also the third probably principle you need to be looking at is your commitments around the season. So when is the season going to start back up? Have we still got an extended break after Christmas as well? Because I know a lot of people aren't going back until mid to late January as well. So there's still a bit of time after that Christmas period where you still need to plan for. So that's probably the three main points that will probably guide your intent going into this Christmas break, boys. So now we've discussed the training principles that should guide our Christmas break. Maybe we should have a bit of a discussion around some specific prescription details for the Christmas break, boys. So Sean and Damo, maybe if we want to go through this section, talking about some guidelines in terms of frequency, intensities around your training, and then we can go from there. So maybe if we want to give a broad intro into some different frequencies and intensities that you guys may look at programming.
Yeah, so from a running perspective, over the break, I'd be looking at having at least 2 running sessions per week. The evidence out there shows that if you do at least 2 running sessions per week, you're going to maintain your existing base if you're doing the right type of training. You may even move up to 3 sessions if you're looking to really ramp things up and keep progressing. But as we said earlier, you're probably looking to maintain over this period. So 2 quality sessions. So that might be a nice interval-based session, one of them. And then the other session might be a bit of a longer aerobic-based run. If you're adding those in 2 sessions per week, you'd be going in the right direction to sort of be maintaining your aerobic fitness over that period.
Yeah, I think the same thing sort of would be with your resistance training as well. You want to at least be exposing your body to the same sort of movements and stuff, so that you're probably not going to be hitting any PBs or anything over this period of time. But if you're just exposing your body to the different ranges of motion that it would normally be used to when you actually get back to sort of normal training after Christmas, heading into January, then you're not going to be waking up tired and sore and hardly able to move. So it's just this period sort of just setting yourself up to be to sort of maintain, and then once you get into the swing of things, it's going to be easier to get back into it and then improve, instead of having the first couple of weeks being like you pull up sore and it's just going to make it a bit quicker to get back into things.
Yeah, I think I touched on it earlier, but it's a good way to think about it is it's a deload, or you're unloading a bit of your volume and intensity for this period. So you still want to be ticking the boxes. So as Sean said, still doing your key movements, and from a running perspective, you still want to be getting Ks in the legs and some high intensity stuff. But it's certainly, if you're looking at it on a graph, you might have had a bit of a spike in volume for the 2 to 3 weeks before the Christmas period. You'd really be looking at dropping that down over this period and just touching the bases. And then, when we come back after the Christmas period, you can start to ramp that up and build on the intensity.
Absolutely. So it seems like from the discussion from you two boys there is that 3 days a week seems like the slot, I reckon, in terms of like your total frequency of training. So with the composition of the Damo initially brought up running sessions, and Sean spoke about resistance training. Is there an ideal combination of the two there, do you think?
I guess it all depends on your schedule as well. Like, I think it's important that, sort of mentioned it before, don't put too much pressure on yourself to squeeze your sessions in. Like, if you're spending time with your family or your friends, like, prioritize that. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world if you do miss a session. But as we sort of said as well, don't throw everything out the window. You can sort of either reschedule it for another day, or you can try a different session, or just fit something in. Like I guess Damo said, the two running sessions are probably best, just as like a bare minimum. And they don't have to be that long either. Like, as long as you're getting a few Ks in the legs and keeping that same intensity, like if it's going to be a deload week, it might only be 20, 30 minutes. So it is still, like, it's obviously still a commitment to get it in, but you're not going to be down at the Oval for an hour and a half. And it's the same with the weight sessions. Like, you might only have to do, if you do maybe 1 to 2, depending on, I'd probably do 1 to 2 full body sessions, and that should be enough as well. Like, you don't have to go spending all this time exercising. Like, prioritize having fun, spending time with your family and your friends and that sort of thing. That's going to be more important than making sure you've done your sets of bench press and your squats.
Benchy. Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, there'll still be a few blokes pumping out the benchy. It's coming into that time of year, mate.
I think adding to that, it's the quality of the sessions rather than the quantity. So if you are going to commit to doing them, make sure that they are quality. So as we said, don't try to rush it, fit it into somewhere where you've got a spare day, or you've got some spare time, or if you are with friends and family, you might just go down to the Oval or the beach for a kick of the footy or something like that, and you can add in a little conditioning component there or a strength component there, and do it with your friends and family. So don't feel like you have to be out there running around the track by yourself. It's actually probably a good time to exercise and be around different people. You've got family around, there might be a cousin or a brother-in-law or sister-in-law that's into running or the gym, and you can go with them and do something different. They might have something different for you to join in with. So always keep those options open as well.
Absolutely. So I think, and after the year we've had as well, it's probably good just to catch up with family and friends and enjoy their company rather than go flog yourself on the track. And what Damo said about the beach, that's a good idea as well, like particularly with summer. So again, it might be like a nice bit of variety in your training as well as go down the beach, bit of water work, with your family and friends as well. So like Damo said, that old adage about incidental activity, you can get a lot of that, enjoying your time with your family and friends anyway, down the beach, I should say. So there's always chances for you to exercise later on, but cherish the time you spend with your family and friends, because after this year, you just don't know what can happen and what's around the corner.
Absolutely.
But if you do, on the other hand, though, if you do have similar plans, or you live in a similar area, or you're going on holidays in a similar place to one of your mates, or if a few of your teammates as well, then by all means you can organise sessions around that. Like that's a good thing as well. It's good for your team morale and your own sort of work around that. So there's obviously it's probably not putting so much pressure on yourself to do these things, but if the opportunity arises, then obviously go ahead and grab them. But I think, boys, that might be it for this podcast, or for this section of the podcast anyway. I think we've covered a fair bit over this year anyway. But maybe, boys, is there a highlight for you boys in terms of any podcasts or anything we've done in terms of TRIAX this year that you can look back upon? Shawnee?
I think, I guess just even starting it to begin with, like I think that it was sort of the middle of lockdown and we'll probably all feeling a bit unmotivated with things, and it was pretty boring. So I think even just starting and doing something of our own and creating all these things and all this content, like social media stuff, I don't think any of us have done that before, or podcasts or YouTube videos or anything like that. So it's pretty foreign territory to us. It's been different and something different to do, and it's been enjoyable. But I guess the highlight, like it was probably the least serious thing we've done, but the grand final day podcast, that was a good laugh. And then even the content filming day we had just a few days ago, that was good fun as well. Getting all together and doing some stuff and putting Rob through his paces in the warm up. That was pretty much a session for you in itself, wasn't it? That warm up.
Yeah, it was, mate. Absolutely. Yep.
You're still fatigued from that, Rob.
Yeah, still fatigued. Yep, absolutely right. Yeah, I was. Damo, what about for you, mate? Well, this is your brainchild, of course. So, what do you take away from this year?
I think just how much goes into something like this. You don't realise until you get started. I think we had that chat at our little Christmas catch up the other day that, if one person was trying to do all this, it'd be a part-time or a full-time job, really. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of working parts. So I think collaborating with each other, and we all have slightly different views and opinions on things, but we've been able to sort of piece it together. So I think, how far it's all come in a short period of time is actually quite amazing. And I think just, like a shout out to the people that have jumped on board. So in particular, Luke and Pavel, who have been clients and have been doing programs and been really good for us. I think that's been a highlight, that they've really jumped on board, and you can see the progression that they've had as clients who've, bought into the TRIAX sort of idea and concept and have worked on it and worked with us and really improved their own performance and well-being. So that's been a highlight for me.
Yeah, agree, and echo those sentiments as well, Damo. That's absolutely right. Like, you can't do any of this stuff without the support of the people that you're in and around. So from that perspective, definitely a big shout out to those boys as well, and thank them for their continued support of us. Like, it really means a lot. For me, I think the highlight's just been sort of similar to Sean, is like getting all this stuff together, and I think just working with you two boys, really, like it's pretty good, and it's pretty easy to work with you two guys. Like, it's it's fun, to be honest. Like, we all sort of don't take things too seriously and get on with it, and have disagreements about colours and all that sort of stuff from time to time, about what colours we should use and what shades of green we should use on posts and that. But it quickly turns personal, and then it becomes very humorous as well for the other person involved. So that's probably, I think, the highlight as well. It's just probably the mateship from you two blokes, and just constantly checking in on each other and growing something together. So I think that's probably the really positive thing, and why I always love jumping on with you boys and doing all the stupid stuff on TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that, which have gotten a bit crazier by the week. But
I was going to say, Rob, that'd be a highlight. You wouldn't all the TikTok blowing up.
Yeah,
Rush becoming an influencer.
Yeah. So this podcast might have a few sponsors next time in 2021. You might see. I think Sports Dietitians Australia, they've wanted to jump on ever since we plugged the hell out of them a few podcasts ago. But get on TikTok as well. Have a look at that in the break. There's plenty of content on there to keep you entertained. But thank you to you two boys. Actually, that's all I really want to say there. Thanks to you boys for making it enjoyable.
Very good.
And then,
cheers, Rob.
And then again, on this front, just thanks to everyone else. Like, thanks again to people that bought hoodies, T-shirts, all the merch. Like that, that basically saved Sean's reputation. So we appreciate that. Thanks to everyone, really. Thanks for all the feedback, queries, comments, everything on the various social media platforms that we have. So thanks very much. And if you want to jump on and check out all our previous podcast episodes where you got a bit of time over the break, then please do so on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. So jump on there and have a look. So thanks very much. I'd like to wish everybody a safe and happy new year. Hopefully 2021 is a lot better than 2020 was. But until then, we'll say bye for now, and we'll see you bigger and better in season 2021 for us. So bye for now.